Hi, welcome to Beyond Politics. I'm Catherine Clark. Quebec Conservative MP Stephen Blaney was born in Sherbrooke, Quebec to parents who were teachers. He became a successful civil engineer before a lifelong interest in politics crystallized in a decision to run provincially in 1998. He was unsuccessful that time, but he was successful in 2006 when he ran federally. He is now not just a member of Parliament, but also the Minister of Veterans Affairs, and Stephen Blaney joins me to talk all about life beyond politics. Stephen Blaney, welcome to Beyond Politics. It's a great pleasure to have you here.
It's an immense privilege to be on your plateau.
Well, you know, it's always particularly fun to interview people who are actually very happy to be here. So, you were born in Sherbrooke.
I was born in Sherbrooke in 1965, actually. That's true.
What were your mom and dad doing there at the time?
Well, my parents were both were teacher. My father was did many things. He was all related to wood industry at that time. He was a wood measurer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what did your mom do? Was she home with the kids?
She's teaching kindergarten. She's in love with kids. She loved to teach. She's has a lot of patience.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't get that from her.
You didn't get the patience? I didn't get the patience either. So, did you have a lot of siblings, brothers and sisters?
I have one great sister.
Okay.
She's a little bit older than me, and she's always led me, helped me through my maths, through school, through guiding me. So she's her name is Lindsay, and she's a great human being. I'm glad to have a great sister like that.
You know, it's interesting when it comes to names, because you have what could be taken as an Anglophone name, and your sister Lindsay, that's not a particularly French name either. Yeah. Were your parents Francophones? Were they Anglophones? How did these names develop? My
mom is so Francophone, she still has a hard time to pronounce the first name of my dad. So it tells, but my dad, of course, we have an Irish background.
Okay.
And lately I met with, Prime Minister Cameron.
Yes.
He came in and I welcomed him as Minister of Veterans Affairs at our National War Memorial. So I'm proud to speak to him in French. That's my mother tongue, and we're Canadian. So he tweeted on his way back, Stephen Blaney, a Francophone, this can only happen in Canada.
And you know what? You're absolutely right. I think it's probably true that that is part of what being Canadian is, that you can be a person with what sounds to everyone else like an English name, but in fact you're a Francophone. So
my father was speaking English when going at school, and it's a time where there were less Irish, more French-speaking Canadian.
Yeah.
So it was tough for him. So he really wanted us to be fully integrated into the Quebec society. So that's why I learned English later, and that's why it's I get the message through, but it's not I'm not as fluent as I could be.
Is super. So when did you start learning English?
Through school, and I went at high school and at Glendon College. And actually, I like music, and I would listen to Elton John's song and learn them by heart. What have I got to do to make? So it's kind of so I repeated it. I would read it, and then I would.
Would you really? That's a perfect way to learn. Except that your speeches might be peppered with a little bit of Elton John here and there.
Well, certainly would get some attraction.
Yeah, I bet. So how did your mom and dad meet then?
Well, that's a pretty good question, Catherine. Actually, they met in 1957. It was the night where the Conservative John Diefenbaker government was elected.
Right.
And they were celebrating. And in the days of the election and the days following, there are some great gathering. They call it Triomphe Electoral, Triumph. It was in a rural part south of Quebec City. So that's where they met, actually.
Isn't that something? So politics was in the blood from a really early
Probably
age.
like Obelix, who fell into the magic potion. It's probably where I got this political blue germ. It came from, it's genetic, probably. My parents, though, were not involved in politics, but they were a good partisan.
Now, when you were a kid, did you were you a political type of kid? Because you hear sometimes about the kids who are, from the very earliest stages reading the newspapers and having debates around the kitchen table and going to school and becoming the grade 1 class president. Were you that kind of a kid? Well,
I've always been interested into politics and fascinated by the prime minister, the premier, where our society is going. Of course, I'm a Quebecer, so we feel important. Our language is important, our culture, and I feel it's important to promote this great culture and language. And I'm very proud Quebecer, actually. I guess I was always fascinated by politics. I remember in a summer camp, it was in 1978, I was a member of an environmental group called le Club 4H, 4H.
Oh, yes.
To preserve the environment. So I went into a summer camp and they decided we would have an electoral campaign.
Yes.
And there were the progressists and the conservative.
Okay.
I ended up in the conservative, and finally we worked our way through and we won. And I was proud. They designed it to me as a whatever. So we won, and they took me and pulled me up in the air, and it was great fun.
I bet it was. It's always fun to win.
It's always fun to win. It's always fun also to explain your ideas. Some can disagree, but at least you can show a point of view, a perspective, and then people can say, makes sense.
Yeah. You studied something very different from politics, though. You studied engineering.
Yeah, civil engineering, and I still need to
wear the ring.
Yeah, and I still need to do some class to keep up with my title. Yes, I was fascinated by the infrastructure. In the 70s, I went into university in 1984. It was the time of the big dams, le barrage Manic 5, LG2. So it's inspiring to see that through technique we can make things come true. Hydroelectricity. So that's how I ended up as a civil engineer. I had no really family background. My background were more, my parents were in education, my father related to wood, but it played out well for more than 20 years as a consultant, infrastructure, wastewater treatment plant, water filtration, energy efficiency. So what I like about engineering is it's practical. You don't talk about it, you do it. You do wastewater treatment plant. There's a problem with, there used to be a problem in my region with the pig industry, with pig manure.
Sure.
So, I've worked with some partners and we've developed some technology. So, it's quite a great challenge, but, I guess also I like politics as well, and it came in my life, almost unexpectedly.
Yeah. To pick up on the environmental aspect of what you were just saying, you did seem to have a very deep interest, and probably still do, in the environment and in initiatives that help to safeguard the environment. How did that develop?
Well, I remember when I was in Sainte-Marie-de-Beauce, we used to, at that time, it was really recycling, At that time, recycling was we would put a big box in the middle of our village, and we would invite people to put their paper. It was not as structured as it is today. So, and there was also concern in the 1970s of the growth. It was called the Club de Rome. So some concerns were raised about the pace of development. How, as human beings, are we interacting with the environment, and how can we make it sustainable? So that's how it kind of germinated. And to tell you, I was also quite impressed by the Brundtland report about sustainable development. I felt it really grasps what we can be as a society and how we can make decisions that are sustainable. So that's kind of the mood in which I've moved forward through my experience, which is quite related to environmental. Actually, at a point in time, I created my own society, which was Stratégie technologie environnementale. So I kind of was quite thrilled. It's not necessarily the best field to go if you want to get rich.
Yeah.
But you can make inroads and learn a lot and do some change, actually.
Did you want to be something else before you settled on civil engineering? Was there something in particular that you were considering but you rejected?
Well, I love history. And at that time, I was performing pretty well in history, but considering the career opportunities,
yes.
and I had some facility in math,
right.
I kind of kept it as a hobby. But I've always been interested in reading newspaper. I would read all the time. During my break, I would go to the library and get to read Le Journal Le Devoir and see the editorial. And I was always fascinated by the way our human societies are evolving. But I felt I had to earn a living, and for me, civil engineering
sure.
was a safe way to earn a living.
Yes, history is not a quick way to get rich either, is it?
Well, I would say if you have a passion, follow it. That's what I would probably, and that's what I tell my kid. If you have a passion, follow it, because if you are really passionate about something, you will be ready to put the extra effort and you will succeed. So that's a lesson, but I'm proud to be an engineer, and I find it's great. And probably there was a challenge for me, but obviously, history, and actually now, Catherine, I happen to be privileged to be in charge of Veterans Affairs, and most part of it is related to our history as Canadian.
Right.
And it's a life-changing experience. I'm sorry I jumped to it.
No. I think, and to take a step back, actually, you talked about how you got into politics, that it was something that you weren't really expecting, that it just kind of came along. And yet, you ran first provincially. It wasn't successful, but you ran provincially. What was the difference for you between running provincially and then running federally? Was there a big difference in how it felt or how the campaigns transpired?
Well, I have gotten involved in students' association and in some engineering society. In 1988, I grew up in Beauce, and there has never been a candidate for the then ADQ Mario Dumont party. Mm-hmm. And what I like about Mario Dumont's party was fiscal responsibility. You know, I was concerned as a young dad to see our debt growing. So I ran in 1998. I was quite, my expectations were low, but that's how I convinced my wife actually to run. I told her.
You told her you weren't going to win?
Well, I told her that it should be a 1-month experience.
Okay. So basically you told her you weren't going to win.
Well, but still at the end of the day, on the election night, yeah. You expect to win.
Right. And you don't run to lose. So.
I really was there for a win. It was a $3,000 campaign, but I learned everything: debate, communication, fundraising, benevolent, working with volunteer, strategy. So it was a wonderful, spectacular school. And actually, I learned how to work with media. And I remember at that time, I would do some debate with the then Liberal and PQ member, and being just treated as an equal was for me a big breakthrough and a real success. So on election night, I was happy, but also you're a little bit, you have some deception, yeah. Because the ideas you carry, you really feel they can make a change, and you end up really to believe in what you do. Otherwise you wouldn't do it.
You seem to have such a positive and optimistic approach to everything that you do. I mean, you have a very positive aura to you. So is that what helped you decide to stay in politics and give it another try? Because for a lot of people, a loss is devastating, and you don't really get over that.
Oh, actually, for me, it was a great experience. And from day one, I knew, what I did not realize is how helpful this campaign, where I ended up third, which for me was a moral victory, was key to my winning in 2006, because then I would say I really went for, I called a big thing. Running federally was not that much different from running provincially, but moreover, it was really, this time it was I would say, ready to give it all. And
what about your wife? You'd had 8 years to convince her on the.
Well, actually, we had some discussion in between for some potential potential opportunity that may arouse, but that we decided that I would not go. But in 2006, I think she really felt it was something really, really, really important for me, and actually, on the election, she let me run in 2006, and Marie, my wife, she's wonderful. She let me run. She was probably more aware of what I was going into. And, on the election night on 2006, then I had to, tell her that our life would probably change, because now we could feel this, humans, wave of, sympathy that our campaign was dragging. We have to remember it was 2006. Prime Minister Harper was had a great campaign. He was very popular. And at a point in time when I was meeting young voters, 18, 20 years old, say, Stephen, you're a Stephen Harper candidate. We're going with you, Conservative. Let's make a change. You could really feel something was happening, something big. And actually it ended up with I wouldn't use a landslide, but a 10,000 majority.
Yeah.
In Quebec, with Conservative is something I feel really proud and grateful from the constituent of Lévis-Bellechasse as well.
How old were your kids at the time?
They were young. They were still kids.
Yeah.
Alexandra was around 5 and William was around 8 and 9. So,
did they campaign with you?
Not much, actually. They were quite young, so we tried to keep their life going as we tried to keep it a little bit. They didn't get that much involved at that time.
Right. Was your wife Marie involved?
Marie, yes, she's always been involved and supportive, and I would say she would be the anchor and the fort where she would keep the family going as I would be involved. And that's quite the formula we've used since then. It's now been more than 7 years. So Marie is really the rock of our family.
Yeah. Does she work outside of the home?
She does. She does work. Wow. She's a mediator. She has a great.
And then she's perfectly trained for this kind of business.
She is. Yeah. Well, she's of great advice. She's got great emotional skill. She has a sound judgment. So I always rely on her for important decision. Yeah. I wouldn't say I always follow her advice. I probably should, but I do.
You've had a lot of elections since 2006. Yeah. Did you, when you went into it, did you expect it to be this way, that you would, I mean, it was a lot of work, over those few years until this majority government now?
Well, I always say you don't buy an election. If you win it, it's because people trust you. And for me, politics is about trust. There's trust, then things can happen. So, yes, it has been a very busy year. But I can tell you on the last election, when we got a majority, we certainly would have been happy to have a much more great result in Quebec. But to see that this long walk of our Prime Minister and our team to make it come through, I think is a great accomplishment, and I'm very proud. And as I mentioned, the people of Lévis-Bellechasse, they are hardworking people. They are farmers. They are professional. They are a lot of manufacturing industry. They are proud people, and it's a great honor for me to be here in the House on their behalf. It's a great gift that they are allowing me to do. And I would say the most important thing for me is to stay authentic. I think that's what people are expecting, and keep your 2 feet down on the earth.
Constituents sometimes get a little, they're both pleased and a little concerned when their MP becomes a cabinet minister, because it can mean that they're out of the riding more. And, you talk about keeping your feet on the ground and really knowing your constituents' issues. Have you found it tough as a cabinet minister to also be in the riding, looking after your
Well, I find I need to make some adjustment And I realized how privileged I have been to be a member of Parliament for 5 years. So I could really concentrate on on the writing, learning, I would say the ABC of a politician, because I was more into a technical engineering, learning how to communicate, learning how to work with constituents, how to work through the government's machine, but by respecting the difference between the political and the administrative. So that was probably the greatest thing that could happen to me. And then this great challenge I was referring to. But yes, I need to strike a balance between, I would say, my duty as a minister, the writing, my family as well, and myself. I think it's always to find the balance. So it's a daily
struggle, juggling act too. Yeah. Are you enjoying being a cabinet minister?
Oh, it's a great privilege. Yes. And, it's really intense. I must tell you, I'm impressed, somewhat, of course, the politicians really don't get the big, necessarily, trust, for some reason that are justified. But I'm impressed to see my career, whether all politicians, are there because in some way they want to make it better. So yes, I'm impressed, and I'm glad I'm in good shape. I was at the gym this morning.
Were you? So do you do that every day? Is that a typical day for you, where you start off at the gym and then you...
Right. I normally go at the gym around 6:00. Then it's really a peaceful time for me where I can go through the treadmills or outside and do some machine. And actually, I'm preparing the crossing of the St. Lawrence River by swimming on June the 1st.
You're going to swim across the St. Lawrence River?
Exactly, yeah. It's
wow.
For the Levy's Hospital Foundation, and also some kids that need some special help. So
how long a swim is it?
It shouldn't. It depends if I make it through. The water will be at around 60 Fahrenheit.
Do you swim with a suit on? Or
I hope so. Okay. Yeah, because I don't think my grease would allow me to go that far.
I've heard that you can actually put grease on your body and swim that way. That it's kind of a heat keeper.
Well, if you have any advice, I will take them.
I don't really have a lot.
I'll probably wear a wetsuit.
Yeah.
I will also do it with Pierre Letourneau, who's done the distances in the St. Lawrence River between Trois-Rivières and Quebec, and he's also circled the Orléans Island. So he's skilled. He knows how to swim in the St. Lawrence River. And the foundation came to me. And do you have any idea where a challenge? And I've always liked swimming. Actually, I swim here every week in the swimming of the Château Laurier. Is available for parliamentarian with Monsieur Lafontaine, who is the former coach of the Olympic team. So I have a good coach. I have a good assistant. And actually, I will invite everyone to come with me and do this challenge. Actually, it's not official yet, so you may keep it for you and I.
Okay.
But we'll make it public.
I'll keep it for us. No problem. No one will know. Are you worried about it? I would be really worried.
Well, I think...
Because I don't mean to freak you out, but there are sharks that have been reported in St. Lawrence. No, but it's cold. It's a long way. You're really brave.
Well, I'll tell you, I fear more the sharks we find on the House of Commons than the St. Lawrence
that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Well, actually, it's probably like politics. It's about preparation. So, Pierre Lafontaine will do me some training, and the distance might not be that long. It might be less than 2 kilometers, and we have to choose it between the time that the St. Lawrence River, because there are tides. Yes. So you really have to find, they call it the tipping point, and then you can go swiftly. So we will do it from Quebec. Well, my riding is just in front of the Château Frontenac. So can you imagine? It will be another dream come true, and you'll be more than invited.
Thank you.
You can come also on a boat with a glass of wine. And say,
maybe that sounds a bit more civilized to me. So, give me an idea then of what a typical day is like for you, because you say you start at the gym, you're training to do this swim. You have big responsibilities as a cabinet minister. Do you have time off during the day where you're able to get things done for yourself, or is it really go type of?
Well, a typical day for a cabinet minister is really designed, I would say, during session around question period, because we have to prepare during question period. And in the morning, we do then some small meeting at cabinet and after question period. So it kind of takes most of the day, I would say, in terms of the agenda. So that's my typical day. So I'll go after this interview this morning. I will go back to the office, do some cabinet stuff with my team, and at night sometimes that's a time I enjoy. At home, I bring some, because veterans are writing to me. Veterans Affairs is certainly one of the departments where individual Canadian veterans or friends of veterans write to me about their concern, about their requests, about their wishes. And so normally at night I do it. I respond to veterans, and I work with a great team who really wants to give an answer to the veterans and take the time to acknowledge his concern and address it in the best way we can. So I must tell you, we have hundreds of letters of veterans, I'd say almost per week, who are writing to me. So I keep on the tradition that was started by my veterans to answer them directly.
That's great, and very much deserving. I mean, for people who serve the country, and
that's the least we can do. And I can tell you, we are at the eve of great events now. Next year will be D-Day, and we still have the privilege as Canadian to have Canadians who've been there, who've been abroad, and who are still alive, who are still with us, and who have wonderful stories. They are treated as heroes abroad. I think it's a great opportunity we have to pay them the tribute and get to know their story, and that's an important part of my mandate. And as I was referring to you, this morning they talk about North Korea developing the nuclear bomb. Well, those guys 60 years ago, they were in South Korea. They protected South Korea, and today we have Samsung, Kia, Lego, LG, Hyundai. All South Korea is an economical miracle thanks to those Canadians who went abroad. So this is really inspiring. I don't want to hijack the interview, but this is I felt a great privilege when given to me, and I can tell you I've been through the country, and it's really close to the heart of Canadian. Canadians are very careful about the way we are dealing with our veterans because they acknowledge their great contribution.
Yeah. What's the best part about being an MP for you?
People. It's great to meet people and share ideas and work for people and actually deliver for your people. Whether it be infrastructure, whether it be streamlining some administrative process. So when we can make a difference in the life of people, so have people in the riding, they're doing wonders every day. And sometimes when the people come at an office riding, it's often the last resort, the last recourse. So we try to be fair and see in any way how we can be of any help. So that's quite rewarding for my people and I.
And tell me about how you help your kids to understand that despite the fact that you're away a lot, that this is a worthwhile job.
Well, my kids now, they grow up and they are getting more involved. Like on July 1st, my son was playing with his band in a parks, and so it was their first appearance, and that was quite exciting. And then he's brought all his fan club, and they're preparing another show on this July 1st in Lévis. So they're getting much more involved, and still this is always a challenge for anyone who has a family and some professional responsibilities. But I must tell you, for our family, my wife Marie is playing a wonderful role because she has a professional career. She's really handling it during all those years, actually, because the kids now are getting quite grown up. So
sure.
She's been my best ally and certainly the most important vote. Sometimes if I get her vote...
if you don't get her vote, that's the bigger problem.
Oh, then we'll need to talk.
I really appreciate you being on the show. It's been a great pleasure to chat with you, and I thank you for taking the time, because I know as a cabinet minister, not just as an MP, that it's a very busy schedule. So thank you.
It's a privilege to be with you, and I wish you well, and hopefully we'll see you in politics. I think you could do a lot for our country.
Oh, well, that's kind. If not, I'll see you at your swim.
Okay.
I'll watch out for word of that. Thank you.